Hi everyone, this is Adam here with the Hear2Listen podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got Steph in the room with me. Hello, Steph.
Hello, Adam.
I have Max on the line.
Easy.
Hello, Max. And we've got two guests with us today from an organisation called Transitions. We've got Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte.
Hiya.
And we've got Alex.
Hi.
Hello, Alex. Thanks for coming on. We've worked before, you and I, Charlotte. We've done a previous podcast, a Transitions podcast that focused on your organisation and what you do. Part of our NCS Community Awareness podcast. Those that are interested is number 3, but there'll also be a link in the comments to direct you, along with other links as well that we'll get for Transitions, so that people can check out the website and so on, and certainly any campaigns that you might want to bring to our attention, Charlotte. But I just wanted to start off by asking you a bit about the organisation, maybe touch a little bit on your individual roles, because I know you, Charlotte, I know what you do, but it'd be interesting to hear from Alex as well about what she does within the organisation as well.
I know, it gets a bit boring when you speak to the same person, doesn't it? No, everything's all going great. My role is, as you know, working with the Achieve and Attain, but we are in an exciting opportunity at the moment. So we've just launched new hubs into Aylesbury and High Wycombe of Attain, which is the Care Leaders programme. And we've appointed a new development manager for the Achieve programme. So that frees me up to be able to move solely over to the Attain, working with the care leaders. Mm-hmm. And then from all of those great projects, we've managed to appoint Alex. So I'll let Alex introduce herself and what she's doing.
Hi, so I'm fairly new to TransitionsUK, but I'm the Virtual Development Officer. So online, because of coronavirus, we was able to expand and have virtual projects and sessions. Mm-hmm. So we will be continuing that when lockdown is over, and having activities, workshops, fun things, and a good platform online.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been with the organisation, Alex?
I started the role in July, getting it planned for now.
Okay, so someone that was new into it, I was curious about what drew you to the role.
I'm a social media influencer, so I was automatically drawn to it, as I love anything to do with social media, and they thought that it would be a good fit.
Yeah, sounds right. I've actually learned what a social media influence is within the last week. A young person educated me on exactly what that means. But for those that might not know, what would you describe that was?
Well, I have a large following and I influence people. Mine is more fashion-based, whereas you can be an influencer for anything.
Mm-hmm. Because I volunteer on the Achieve programme with us for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And from that, she expressed interest of wanting to be more involved in the charity. And then knowing her personal background and what she does with her social media, we thought it was a perfect fit for her to get on board and do the virtual platform.
I was going to say, sorry to jump in there, Adam. I was going to mention that actually, Charlotte, because I did listen back just for a little bit of, just to remind myself what was said on the last podcast that you had with Adam. And you had mentioned that you had volunteers with large amounts of followers on social media that would post on behalf of yourselves. And it was something that I made a note of, because we are obviously trying to grow our platforms, and we're working a lot more online now. And it's something that we've sort of never really looked at doing, but we've had many young people either take part on programs, work on the programs, volunteer or for paid roles with huge amounts of influence on social media, but we've never really sort of jumped on that. But it seems like a no-brainer. When you hear someone else say it, it's like, why didn't we utilise this? Why didn't we get them to put out a post of something that we're doing? Do you know what I mean? And it seems to work.
There's just so much going on, though, when trying to actually create the great outcomes for young people. You're so busy and involved in that, but it does just slip past. That we're just so lucky that we've had such good volunteers who've been able to take on parts of that for us. But to spend the time to find them, it is really difficult. But we'd be happy to collaborate with you on some social media work.
Awesome.
With something you said earlier about the developments that are being made as a result of the situation we all find ourselves in at the moment related to COVID, is that certainly us as an organisation, we seem to have somewhat thrived and got really creative and kind of found ways to do alternative things, and it sounds like you've kind of been along those lines as well, with bringing in new people, with pushing certain aspects of the organisation that may be a bit lacking in the past. I don't know, I'll speak for us that, you know, certainly with our social media and our media platforms that have grown as a result of COVID as well. Would you say that you've sort of taken the opportunity then during COVID to expand and develop?
Definitely. I think that COVID and the whole isolation was such a difficult time for all organisations, but we were just so lucky to have even more opportunities like being sent towards us. And they might not have been, oh, here, there's an opportunity, why don't you try this out? But it would be quite a lot of negative things that were going around, and we went to a lot of networking and we linked up with even more people that you can't do in normal life, because you can't get to 10 meetings in a day because you've got the travel restrictions and I can't get over here. So we managed to just get involved with further areas of the community, and then that gave us more scope to help the young people. But through having the digital platforms, it meant the young people we work with who don't engage because they can't be bothered to get up in the morning and they can't be bothered to go and get a train, or they don't have the money to get the train, they all still could engage with us, and we found more out about them during that time, so we could adapt our services and as staff all reflect and see. So normally we'd go down this line because we presume it's this, but instead let's have a look at our policies and procedures and adapt it to fit the needs of more of the new young people that we've took on.
Would these be sort of existing clientele that you've sort of moved into the digital platform, or have you experienced more new people joining?
So our digital platform for the whole time that we've been in isolation up until last week was just for the young people that we work with. So we'd buddied up the Achieve and Attain programme onto one page, and the Aspire were doing their own separate digital work. But now we've launched the virtual projects, which have their 7 different pages. Yeah. So all of our beneficiaries that we work with currently will be on those pages in the right sections. But the virtual project is for the whole of the UK. So new people can join. But I'll let Alex give you more detail about the 7 different pages.
Yeah, so we've got 7 pages. So we've got 1 for Achieve, 1 for Attain, 1 for Affirm, and then 2 for Aspire because of the different age groups. We thought that was necessary. And then we've got the Parent Leader Support Group and the Public Group. So the Public Group, we're looking to attract, obviously, the public in so we can help people nationally rather than just our current beneficiaries. And we will still be doing workshops, activities, video calls, etc. on the public group as well as the others.
With the different titles that you've got there, I was wondering how things fit into that, because I know you as an organisation that supports young carers, for example. Where would they fit in within, or is there different subheadings for each of those 7 pages for other types of service user?
The 7th page, which is the public page, is for anyone with a vulnerability up until the age of 25, which is what we work with on project. And then the Achieve project is our learning disability. Attain is our care leavers and those who are carers of others. And our Aspire is nice crime and gang affiliation, and Affirm is our mental health. Wow,
that covers quite a lot.
It does. It does cover a lot.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. That's it's a big umbrella. It's quality. The only thing that comes to my mind straight away is all this amazing stuff that can be done, because I've heard so many positives from what's happened in regards to organisations and groups like ourselves having been able to use online platforms and being able to see more people. Doctors, I think they've doubled the amount of people they can see on a daily basis down to this online sort of process now. The only thing that always stays in my mind, and this has been from the very beginning of lockdown, is what about those without the technology? What about those without the smartphones? How do we reach those, and what can be done for those guys without the laptops and stuff to be able to access this? If, for example, if it all happens again and we are finding ourselves in another lockdown, what can we do to get those people support?
Definitely, yeah. So we've really thought about that as well at the beginning, because we have some young people who can't use technology because their disabilities that they have mean that they don't have the capacity to be able to go onto a Zoom call or join one of our online workshops. So we were very conscious that for those we needed to adapt how we performed our online workshops and how we downloaded them and how we got them sent to them. So for some of them, we were sending them letters in the post with visuals and pet cards and explaining like what was going on to them and sending them just a thank you to remind them that like you are still valued and you're a part of this, but we can't do anything until we're back to like face to face. And then we managed to, as soon as the first restrictions changed, send mentors out to those young people and meet them in their garden and kind of work on just fun activities and then incorporate them back into our team environments when we could meet with 3 or 4 of them in a park. And we're conscious that when we go forward, that if this was to ever happen again, then we need to make sure that the young people who don't have technology but are able to use the technology, we're able to use the community around us to get people to share kind of the technology that they have. So if there's just somebody who like lives locally to them, who can let them borrow a laptop for an hour, like once a week when they know that one of our scheduled workshops are on, then we'd organise more volunteers to go and collect the items for them and take them over.
It seems like you never let it stop you. That's amazing to hear that sort of stuff, because part of me was thinking that actually there's nothing going on. People haven't found solutions, but just hearing some of the stuff that you've done, especially from the very beginning, it fills myself with hope, and I reckon a lot of other people listening that actually, you know, they're not alone, and there is ways and means of getting in contact and taking part in workshops, and just having that support, or some sort of support network out there. I did hear way at the beginning, right at the beginning, that the government were doing some sort of scheme in regards to laptops and offering out a grant for those that couldn't afford or didn't have the technologies. Is that something that's just been forgotten about, or have you heard anything like that?
Yeah, no, so we have heard a few of those schemes. We've tried to access a few different ones, but obviously that can take quite a lot of time, especially when it's a government-led scheme, because all the different organisations trying to access. But we always feel quite lucky with the response and the way that we all tie up with the communities in the local areas, that we don't feel we need to access sometimes these grants and opportunities are on offer, because we can sort the problem the same day because of the volunteers that we have who know of this person and know of that person. Oh, we can sort that. So we try to do it as like a community all together, so then it gives you further opportunities for that young person rather than them just being given the grant to then access their own laptop.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does.
And sometimes 9 times out of 10, you have to jump through about 50 hoops to actually get the end result, and could be waiting for 6 months for that. So yeah, I don't blame you for using your own sources.
Yeah, and then on top of going through all of those hoops, then you get to your end result, which is getting the laptop. But we can say to somebody at a networking event, has anyone got a spare laptop? And then they ask you why, and then you've opened up a new conversation. Then they find out that young person sounds like someone actually I could get on with. So then they say, do you want me to mentor them? Do you want me to offer them this work experience? Like, it's getting the whole community around us all together to ensure that it's not just that one individual we're working with who's got their solution fixed. It's getting us all together to work on the same issues.
Yeah, I just wanted to focus a little bit more on the individual work of mentoring, and I've always been interested in this idea that there are different facets of support. There's counselling, there's key work, there's various other types of work, and then there's mentoring. How do you describe your mentoring in terms of what it offers that maybe the others don't, or what is unique about mentoring?
Can I do that? I can come in with that, because that's exactly what I was about to mention, Adam. There we go, see?
Great minds think alike.
I was going to mention again on the previous podcast you mentioned it being a holistic approach. Did I get that word out right? I did have to Google the definition of holistic just to find out exactly what it was. But you're looking at the whole thing, and this is why when you said about having a community and building that community around them, you're not just looking for quick fix, give them a laptop, they'll be able to make wonders and do wonders with that, and they can access the workshops. You're looking at the bigger picture the whole time. Yeah. From what I hear from TransitionsUK is you are literally building that community of support, that support network you're forming from the foundations up, that's going to be long lasting rather than just, there's a laptop, you've waited a month, but you're lucky, you're privileged to have that, get on with it and do it. You'll be there all the way through, which is, again, inspirational to hear. And I'm going to pass you over because I did just butt in there again. But that tied in nicely to what I was going to mention about the holistic approach.
So that is the way that we always work with each young person who comes on. So our CEO is really big on pushing with us as staff, but you have your framework, and we have the development wedge and the dream pathway plans that we like to work on with the young people, and we want to measure their outcomes and like get them to a point where they are achieving their dreams. But that doesn't limit you. Don't just follow what you're given. Go out and find anything that you can that helps that young person, and we'll spend all of our time doing things with the young people that will give them the outcome, not just, okay, so I'm here today to help you with your application form for a job, and then goodbye, see you later, sorry you didn't get that job, let me meet you again and do another application. We want to sit down with the young person and work out, okay, so why haven't you applied for a job before? Why have you not been spoken to about your different options? What's your finances like? How's your emotional well-being? Have you got any friends? What's your sleeping pattern like? Let's go around the whole of your life. Because if we start to come and meet with somebody and we spend hours of time just working on one section, that's not going to make them feel fully supported, and they're never going to look at the other angles of their life, which could be impacting something simple as just sending off a job application.
Steph, did you want
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you're getting to the root causes of the problems, and that's what's nice. It's not a tick box exercise for transitions, which I think is really, really great, because that's what you find in most like schools and stuff like that. It is mainly a tick box exercise, and I think that's where young people struggle. So it's good that you're doing the work that you do.
Yeah, especially because we understand that a lot of organisations, there are a lot of regulations and you do have to follow the tick box thing. But for a lot of young people who've been through the different statutory organisations and they've been used to this tick box exercise, we get them coming to us and they're just so used to giving us the same old answers. So they do their initial assessment with us and you say, so close your eyes, where do you think you're going to be in 2 years' time? They're like, oh, I don't know, maybe in a job. Maybe I might have money, maybe I'm working. They say whatever they think that you want them to say. Yeah. And they're just trying to get the initial assessment over and done with. You ask them about like money issues, all the different things, and they're just quite plateaued. And then you get to 3 months in of working with them, and we've done all sorts of different activities with them and like met them in different ways. So we might have met them virtually, we might have met them out in the park, we might have took them to a group activity, because we try and encourage them to be involved in all parts of our charity. Then they'll start to tell us dreams that they've had since they were 12 years old, and they wanted to go off and be a social media graphic design, and things that they would never say in their initial assessment because they're just so used to the tick box. So we know that we need to make sure that the whole way of everything we deliver to them is person-centred. Otherwise they're never going to find out what they really want, because they're just so used to saying, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you ask.
Yeah, and I've had all three facets there. You know, I've worked in counselling, and there's a certain amount of counselling that might be focused on the sort of deep and, you know, getting really deep and going under covers, as it were. You've also got the key work, which, relating to what you were saying, was very tick boxy. I worked within the addiction game within prisons, and at the time that I was working with the guys, the vast majority, it felt like they were saying the right thing, because there was a certain amount of incentivization around appearing that you are sorted and you are well and you are ready to be released, because ultimately their probation officer would get to see a lot of the content. So it never felt entirely authentic. And I think, having worked through those two things and then done a bit of mentoring myself, I'm really strong on mentoring. I love the idea of it. And there's something about the guiding and I sometimes see it as a sort of older person, younger person type thing. And linked in with what you were saying about the community, a lot of the guys that I previously worked with were quite isolated, and there were some autistic tendencies, some challenges around social situations, and even taking risks. You know, something as a company, we always say, you know, take the risks, kind of, you're getting outside your comfort zone, that's where the growth is. But there was such a resistance to that initially, because they were so disconnected from their communities. And I like the idea of a mentor having the knowledge, local knowledge, community knowledge, people that they can link these young people into, organisations, jobs, businesses, everything. The stuff that I can say myself, I have learnt, that I would love the opportunity to sort of convey, and it just seems more power to it, to me, the whole mentoring side of things.
Definitely, yeah, because as like we all know from our own experiences, you do like to do things up as you go along. Like if you start a new job, you always feel, oh, it's like a little bit anxious, I don't know if like I can do that. And then 6 months in, you feel like you're fully a part of like the organisation, you know, like all of the policies, you could just read it all off. But the people who haven't even seen someone that week. Like, they're not used to having a weekly check-in. They're not used to somebody saying, hiya, how was your day? Anything like that. To then ask them to go off out into the community and just join in with an activity or go to a job fair. Something like that is quite a big expectation of them.
I was wondering what kind of... I basically probably did a bit of a judgment there, assuming that mentors needed to be of a certain age. But like, what kind of qualities are you looking for with your mentors?
So we have a huge mix of different volunteers working with us. So we have some volunteers who've been through the vulnerabilities that the young people we work with have been through, and then they're off either being a business owner or they've settled down with their own family and they want to use their shared experience. Or we have volunteers who are working they're at university still, but they're working with young people and they want to have shared experience. So we try to match them all with 3 mentors. So one who's similar age, one who's like a parent age, and one who's a grandparent age. But that doesn't mean it has to be fixed like that. That's just our perfect model, that we can work with young people who want to have 2 mentors who are one male, one female, both of a parent kind of age. We work with mentors, young people, who want a mentor who is just their age because they're not used to speaking to adults and they feel like they're being judged every time they speak to an adult. So we just work it around the different young people we work with, but we accept applications from all volunteers, and then we go through our recruitment process with them and make sure that if they don't seem like they can match with one of the young people we're currently working with, we'll work with them to find out what kind of young people they would match with. Because we don't match people just because they're a mentor and a beneficiary. You've got to have shared interests, shared kind of communication styles, so that we know that the natural communication and community work is going to happen. So the volunteers that we get who don't have an ideal match straight away, we work with them on other parts of our charity. So for example, now they'd go over and work on the virtual platform with Alex, and then we would wait until a candidate came in who can be matched with that mentor. Hope that makes sense without going into too much of it.
Yeah. I was wondering what the thinking was behind having multiple mentors. It hadn't occurred to me. I just assumed that you'd have a mentor and that would be the end of it.
Yeah, I thought that as
in
well.
life you're around lots of different people, so we feel that if we give you one mentor, that is great. You can do some incredible work with them, but you end up quite close to them, great friendship, and you have the same kind of conversation. Of course, life changes and different things happen, but having different support networks around you who offer you different aspects of your life makes sure that you are constantly thinking of new opportunities. There's new activities that you can try out, because one of your mentors might like going swimming with you, but another mentor is absolutely petrified of the water but absolutely loves going out for meals. There's just all different dynamics to that.
I can see somewhat of the appeal, speaking personally, around the interest that I have in my life and the joy that I get from sharing it with other people. And I don't have children myself, but like being like some of the work that I've done before, let's say one example was I went to an event where a young person was volunteering there, and I'm a big Frisbee fan. Everyone knows I'm well into my Frisbees, any excuse to get the Frisbee out. But basically I'm at this event and I started, while we were sort of waiting for stuff to be done and arranged, we just had a little bit of a chuck about with the Frisbee. And because the event itself had lots of younger people there, like real children, sort of 6, 7, they saw the Frisbee flying about and then they wanted to get involved as well. And there's a lot of joy that I can have about that as well, seeing someone kind of take a chance on something and then practice it and get it wrong a bunch of times, throwing a Frisbee for the first time. They're quite big Frisbees as well for the little ones, but they give it a go and they give it a swing and it goes, and just seeing their sort of face light up when they sort of nail a throw or get it, close to you or even into your hands is always the objective there. But I'm well into board games, I'm into martial arts, all that sort of stuff, this sort of knowledge that I've gathered in my life that I've often thought about fostering as well. That's kind of popped into my head as a way that all these stuff that I've learned, and the reasons I kind of learn it as well, as someone who was dead quiet and like a bit autistic-y with the social difficulties and stuff like that, and then I've found a way of challenging myself. I've seen the growth that I've had as a result of some of the hobbies, socially through board games, confidently through martial arts, that sort of stuff. So I've seen myself as someone that was somewhat lacking in a male role model when I was younger. My dad was around, but he's a bit autistic as well. I don't think he really knew how to relate to his boy or his daughter for that sense. I just think he was a bit out of his depth, so a lot of the stuff got left to my mum, which is great. She did a great job. They both did a great job. But when I think about the impact that sometimes not having a man in your life has that been factored into some of your mentoring as well?
Definitely, yeah, because that's an incredible story in regards to hear that you've learned all these different opportunities, because that's what we find. But being given the opportunity to try out different things, even if you would, because initially you might think, oh no, I'm never doing that, but when it's in front of you and that's somebody else's interest, you're more likely to join in. So we do have that factor, but we do take into consideration that not only some people might not have had a male or a female figure as part of their life, some people have also had damaged relationships with a male or a female. We need to be careful of who we match you with for those reasons. And sometimes people just gravitate more naturally. So we might think, well, your communication style, your hobbies, and all of these things about you match that mentor, great. And then when we come to do the initial introductions for the two of you, the spark just doesn't happen. And then through conversating with the beneficiaries themselves, they might say, I just think I naturally gravitate towards men more. So then we switch who we've matched them with and we'll introduce a man. Or they might think, actually, no, I want to try out a woman because I prefer the caring, supportive, the soft touch element there. So it's still person-centred.
Are you able to give a percentage of service users that are male and those that are female? My assumption would be there'd be a lot more men.
Our volunteers.
Service users, yeah, beneficiaries. I think you sound like you prefer to use that word. But I was wondering, in terms of those that access your service, how many are male and how many are female? My assumption would be there'd be over predominantly men.
It depends which project area you think about and at what kind of time. So we do go through various different trends. There's never been a time where we kind of looked at the project and thought, okay, this is the even percentage and this is kind of how it goes, because it can be sometimes we'll have more females in the care leaders project and less males, but we might have more males on the Achieve and especially more males on the Aspire programs, the nurse plan and gang affiliation. But it does vary throughout the time. So at the moment on our Attain project, we have predominantly females, but 2-3 months ago we had more males than we did females. So it's really difficult to kind of answer that because it changes all the time.
I think I'm approaching that angle just because I've only ever experienced aspects of mentoring through the young men, as I said earlier about the sort of lack of male role models, and I wondered what kinds of differences there might be between male and female in terms of their needs from a mentoring perspective.
Yeah, there are differences in terms of the needs that the young people have, but we don't really like to focus so much on because you're male or female or because of you were neat or because of this. We focus on you as an actual person and what you say that you feel as the individual coming into our service that you could benefit from and what you normally gravitate to and experiences you've had yourself, and then kind of match them up. And we're happy to change the matching process if it doesn't work straight away with them, or say 6 months down the line they've got on really great with one mentor, but they've just kind of developed a friendship and now they've decided I've learned these new skills I wanted to learn. I've been a part of these workshops, but actually there's a bit more that I want to do. We'll add in another mentor for that time because we are human and we will change, and our interests, hobbies and how we relate to people changes over time. So the program is a 2-year fixed program where we like you to have at least your first mentor with you for that whole process, but we can add in other people at various different points to adapt to your needs of that time.
And I don't want to sound like I'm trying to. I'll bring you in a second, Max. I didn't want to sound like I was trying to pin you down into the male and the female. It just seemed to be trends that I've experienced in my working life, coupled with just a little bit of research this morning around suicides being up by 30% with girls as opposed to boys, and that speaks of girls that are struggling, and I was kind of interested in sort of finding out. I wonder what the sort of stuff is in the background about that increase, but yeah, I'll leave that for now. What did you want to bring in, Max?
Oh no, I was literally just going to say that I think it's clear to say that it's all about just connecting, and if the mentor doesn't connect and the YP or doesn't connect with the mentor, then it's not going to work, male or female. But also, I was going to bring up Help to Mind. So the program that we deliver, Help to Mind, it sounds so similar, but the frustrating thing for us, or for myself, speaking for myself, is the amount of time that we get, and that's all down to funding or the availability of the school. We've got such a quick turnaround that we would love to be able to do and put out all that support and sort of mentor these young people all the way through. And that's the hardest thing for me, I think, is working on Help to Mind, is that we haven't got that ongoing approach, and we can't sort of help. Once we finish, we're finished. So we're trying to get the same sort of results, but in a lot shorter period of time. You said that it's a 2-year course, and I just think that's amazing. And I think if there's any young people out there that obviously are struggling or need the support, definitely need to take a little look into what it is that you guys do. I mean, this podcast has summed it up amazingly. And yeah, I was going to touch on that a little bit.
We'd be more than happy to have conversations with you and see like how we can work for our programs, because that's the whole main principle with like the opportunities that we have for the young people, that we understand that we are all just one individual, and no organisation that you work with has got hundreds of staff who can just spend hours on end like talking with the young people, but working together as a community with the different services and tapping into different areas. So like we'll tap into one service that will offer the mental health support, but then we will go tap into another service who can offer that young person work experience, and then another place for their CV writing. So then everyone in the community is working together, but we're still getting the same outcomes because all of the services are speaking about that one individual instead of them just going off and doing what they need to do to their tick box exercise, and it just helps create the outcomes quicker.
Yeah, and it's creating that network, and it all comes down to networking. You mentioned a couple of times that you get out and you network and you speak to other organisations. Hear2Listen, I've got such a big network that we've built up over the years that it's again something that we sort of all need to start working on together, because between all of the people and all the organisations that we've crossed paths with, if we're all working together and passing information across and sort of helping each other out and cross-platforming and stuff, then it would make it such an easier process and more beneficial for those people taking part, the young people, and their futures. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in speaking more on that, how we can sort of work together maybe in the future and yeah, cross platforms.
That sounds incredible.
I was wondering, you mentioned about Transitions being national, but have you, as a franchise, I guess we could call it, is there a particular delivery area that you cover?
Yeah, so our virtual project is how we're reaching national. Mm-hmm. But our Attain project is in Milton Keynes and just recently launched into Aylesbury and High Wycombe. Mm-hmm. Our Achieve is in Bedford, Luton, Dunstable, and just relaunching again in Stevenage due to the coronavirus. We had to put that on hold for a while. Our Aspire programme is in the North Hertfordshire and London kind of areas, Stevenage also. And yeah, we're just around the different regions here.
How do you get your referrals?
So the referrals that we get, I just like everything with what we do with TransitionsUK. It's really difficult to kind of say, oh, this is how we get a referral. We are adaptable, so to all different services. So if we're working with housing and housing are used to sending referrals by a Word document, then we will send them our form because we've made that relationship with them. Somebody might find our contact details, our support at TransitionsUK.org, and we'll just send an email in with their referral of the young person. Somebody might give us a phone call. We take referrals in all different forms because we believe so much in our programme and know that the initial assessments and the development weds and dream profiles we do with the young people give us that much information about them that we know that they're safe and we know how to work with them, that we want the referral process to be easy enough so that if someone wants to self-refer or somebody who is at the end of their day desperately wants support for somebody but just can't be bothered to go through all of the paperwork or doesn't have the time, they still can refer in.
Is there an age range that you target?
Yeah, so we target 16 to 25 on the Achieve, Attain and Span, and the Aspire is 14 to 25, and our virtual project is the same.
Okay. Couple of things that I just want to tap into is, have you noticed any trends in relation to the COVID pandemic that we're facing at the moment, like how it's impacted young people that you're working with? What sort of have you got back from them?
I think online, where we've been communicating online, it's impacted everyone differently. So some really good, they love social media, they've come out of their shells, communicated with us more than ever, but some negatively, and it's not their thing, so it just depends on the person, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a teacher on a few weeks ago, and there was certainly some impacts around education and results, and yeah, like you say, it impacted different people. But I don't know. I just got to thinking, like, is there some people that are like afraid of their future? Are they worried that the current climate has impacted and I don't know, diminished some of their opportunities coming up?
We've been kind of lucky, I'd say, in a way that we haven't really had so many of them thoughts of, like, say, our future. They're quite optimistic in terms of how they view society and what's going on. They've had a few concerns around the whole racism and things that are happening in the media. But in terms of coronavirus and how that's leaving the economy, they're not so concerned, but they're more concerned about how, well, I was working before lockdown on going and joining college. I was working and I was going to go do a work experience. I was working on my CV, and they'd all got to good places. And they feel like lots of other services and lots of other opportunities that were on offer to them have kind of dwindled away. And it's trying to get them back in touch with them and feel that the country is back up and running, like these opportunities are still available. But for most of them, because we've worked the whole way through lockdown with them, their ideas have changed. So originally, when isolation happened, they might have thought, oh, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is where I was at. This is where I was going. But they've then been provided a new opportunity. So they've moved through that kind of transition and they're back out on the other side and working towards a new goal.
Fair to say that they've done that with yourselves as well, and you've sort of done that in at the same time as what they would have, which again, they're seeing, and it's building on their resilience, because you've had to overcome obstacles as every organisation, including ourselves. And obviously, as you said, they've seen you guys do that and take this platform to an online thing. Again, that should be sort of a little inspiration spike for those taking part to think, actually, okay, I did have plans to do this, but actually there is something else that I can get on, or that can get done.
Yeah, that's the biggest message to send to young people. That they never think that a door's closed. That there's hundreds of doors that will always open, and we involve all the young people in our processes so that they know that we struggle as well. Because we'll say, right, we're going to put an event on for you guys, and then we go and contact that venue. They can't do it. This venue can't do it. That venue, and we try to. Obviously, we don't give them all the negatives, but we like to keep them involved in that process so that they can see we have to adapt things and change it to get the outcomes that you come and experience, so that they know that you do need to be resilient and you do need to have different ideas in order for your goal to be achieved.
Yeah, definitely. You spoke about the phoning, trying to organise events and stuff like that. That was something as well that I think it's coming up in October. You mentioned last time the campaigns, fundraisers where the young people get to run their own campaigns. Is that all still going ahead?
Yes, so we are doing virtual fundraising at the moment, and we are starting back in Bedford on our sessions, like the face-to-face formal sessions. So we've done like our summer programme with them face-to-face over the school term, but now we're starting the face-to-face sessions. We'll be looking at planning their virtual fundraising events for the different hubs. But we, over the course of isolation, reprogrammed the whole of the way that the programmes are delivered on the Achieve. So the 12-monthly schedule planner that we had before has all been jigged about. So this year we'll continue with the virtual fundraising in October, but going forward that's been moved to another point in the year.
Yeah, make sure you keep us updated on those as well, because again, sharing the love, we'll obviously put it all over our social medias as well.
Thank you. Yeah, if anyone wants to do a virtual camp out with us or a virtual picnic,
send us the details. We'll get involved. Hear2Listen will get involved in that. Send us the details.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Definitely.
Any of you are good walkers, because we're doing a 10-mile Chiltern walk.
Yep. There is a couple of us that are good walkers in this office. I'm looking at Emily over on the back
walk
there.
all the time.
Yeah, no,
I would love you to do the walk. We've got a lot of beneficiaries coming and doing the walk, because it's been such a long time that they've been out and done activities also, so they're excited to come along.
Yeah, no, let us know the details of it, because I think well, I would be up for some of it. I don't know about Adam. Adam, you up for it?
Yeah, I'm good.
And I know that Emily likes to do a bit of walking now and again, so I'm sure she'll get involved. Max will be all about the camping.
Alex has already said someone needs to carry her, so if one of you wants to carry her.
Tandem. I noticed that you had a smile on your face earlier, Steph, when Charlotte was talking about the events and the things that you try to do.
I was just waiting for Max to stop talking. No offence, Max. Just like, obviously, we run the NCS, and I think our biggest struggle this year is obviously cancelling the programme and still keeping those young people engaged, which we obviously have kept them engaged. We ran a little Keep Doing Good volunteer programme in the summer, but again, we face so many challenges when it comes to like booking venues, and then you have to follow their policies. So like, for instance, we used a youth club, which was great, everything was fine, and then the next week government changed the NYA guidelines, and that was right now all young people have to wear masks. So then our young people then kicked off. So it's just constant battles with event organisation that I feel that really, really gets under my skin. But again, it's trying not to put that pressure then onto the young people. And like, to be fair, we normally just let it out in-house. But it's really, really frustrating. But touch wood, we are still on the right avenue at the moment.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm really happy for you guys. But I think it is a great experience to show them like this, like, this isn't working. What's your idea then? So what's your solution? Like, how are we going to rectify this? Where is the other venues that we can go to? Give me your ideas. Why don't you call them? Like, get them involved, because then it gives them like a purpose as well.
Yeah.
It's a constant sort of state of adaptation. There seems to be like every day things are going to change a little bit and we have to modify. But I kind of touch on a little bit what you said, Charlotte, that implied there's always a way. You know, it felt to me like if you were presented with a challenge like a venue or an event or something like that, you seem to always manage to find a way, that there's always a solution if you utilise as much of your team as possible and, you know, get creative. Like I said, look, certainly we've done a lot of recently.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for us in the summer, obviously they did a 2-week programme. So week 1 was we supplied them everything, gave them all the tools that they needed. Week 2 is actually you're out on your own. You've got to fend for yourself. So that's where they did their own adaptations to find different space areas that they could go to and fight against the challenges if the weather permitted. But they did really well. Like, we didn't actually have any complaints. They got on with it. They raised money. They done projects within Bedfordshire. So it was great. So, but yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I was thinking, as there are worse times to have a pandemic as well. I mean, you mentioned about meeting in gardens and parks and things like that. And like my sister started her own business recently from an exercise point of view, and she's utilised a lot of outdoor spaces because the weather's been great, you know. And I'm very optimistic about that. But there's also a part of me that's thinking, like, a bit naively maybe, that next summer we don't have to worry about any of this. It'll be all be sorted. There'll be a cure. We'll be sussed. And
not necessarily,
that's just not,
is it?
yeah. Keep adapting.
Yeah, I think the whole state of the country as well is teaching everybody like how to be more versatile and adaptable, because before we might not have wanted to go and have a meeting outside and you would have just looked for the like nearest coffee shop and like that to meet. But it's just giving us all different options and ways of thinking. Hopefully, if this ever was to happen again, we're all now geared up in a way that makes it achievable.
I think it's a massive learning curve for lots of organisations. I think we've seen a massive learn digitally within our industry anyway, definitely, and our business.
All the sort of digital and media stuff that I didn't know a year ago that I now do know. A lot. I was going through with Emily today about how to do Google Meets and sort of testing it and seeing how it works.
Being all cocky with that. And you learn a new virtual skill at home. You feel like, that's it. I've got to show the whole of my team I know how to do this.
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm going to wrap up shortly. I just wanted to check out with the team if there was anything further, particularly you, Max, out in the world.
I was muted then for a second.
Thought you were quiet.
Nothing else. Yeah, I had to. I took a leaf out of Steph's, but she told me to wind. No, I'm joking. I told you I was going to mute it while I wasn't talking, because I have got a bit of a cold. Don't worry, I haven't got a temperature, ladies and gents. And as far as I'm aware, technology hasn't advanced that much that you can catch it through telephone communications. But yeah, I did decide to mute every time I wasn't talking because I've got a little bit of heavy breathing going on. It's a nice summer cold. That's what I'm going to call it. But no, I haven't really got anything else to add to it other than what an inspirational organisation Transitions UK is. And I urge any young person out there that is struggling. I mean, actually, quick question. So what sort of requirements is it? If for all the young people listening, thinking, actually, like, do I come into that remit? Can I apply? Can I get in touch? Is there any sort of barriers that's going to stop Joe Bloggs giving you a call? Is there any restrictions?
No.
There's not, is there?
No, just give us a call, get in contact, and we try and adapt everything to fit the young people. And if they're never really, I think I know of 2 people, but that was just because of location and they needed the full support service from us. They weren't able to be on project. We then made sure that we stay with them until we've got them into another service that is more suitable for them. We wouldn't just meet somebody and say, well, no, we can't work with you. So yes, anyone who is listening, get in contact with us and we're sure to help you along the way.
100% recommendation, yes. That's amazing. So yeah, any young people out there listening, highly urge you to get in touch if need be. There's plenty of ways to do so. Links are in the descriptions, but Adam's going to tell you all that lovely stuff, aren't you, Adam?
Yeah, we'll get all that. Yeah, we'll get all that, no problem. Just before we wrap up, I do need to just remind everyone that we are on other platforms with podcasts as well. We're on Pocket Cast, Radio Public and Google Podcasts as well. The links will be in the description of the podcast episode. I want to thank everyone for taking part. Thank you for the host, particularly Max remotely. Thank you very much. Thanks for Steph jumping in as well. And thank you to our guests, Alex and Charlotte. Thanks very much for coming on. And thanks very much. Yeah, we've been here to listen.
Thanks.